What is flow? The state of effortless focus and productivity. Let's begin by talking about flow, that magical mental state where everything just clicks. Flow is when time seems to dissolve. You start working on something, and before you know it, hours have passed. Yet instead of feeling exhausted, you feel energized, alive, and deeply satisfied. Maybe you've felt it while writing, coding, painting, playing sports, or even having a deep conversation where nothing else mattered. That is flow. Now let's bring this into wealth creation. Imagine running your business, making investments, or planning your financial strategy, and instead of feeling drained, pressured, or stressed, you find yourself entering a rhythm. Ideas spark naturally. Decisions feel clear. Your actions align seamlessly with your goals. That's financial flow. Here's the key. Flow is not random. It's not something you stumble into once in a while. Flow can be cultivated, designed, and repeated. And once you learn how to operate in this state more often, you'll discover that creating wealth isn't about grinding harder. It's about aligning your passion, your skills, and your focus with purpose. Effort fades. Alignment endures. Flow is the bridge between effort and effortless success. The wealth flow zone. When value creation feels effortless. Think back to a moment in your life when you were completely immersed in creating value. Maybe it was brainstorming a business idea. Maybe it was closing a deal you deeply believed in. Maybe it was solving a challenging problem that suddenly just clicked. In those moments, you weren't checking the clock. You weren't worrying about distractions. You were in complete focus, alive, sharp, and engaged. That's your personal wealth flow zone. Wealth creators don't grind endlessly against resistance. They identify and lean into their flow activities, the ones that feel less like chores and more like natural self-expression. For some, it's designing strategies. For others, it's networking, mentoring, or building systems. Here's the shift. When you discover your wealth flow zone, wealth creation stops feeling like pushing a boulder uphill. It begins to feel like riding a current. Instead of draining your energy, the process gives you energy. That's what peak performers understand. They don't fight the current, they step into it. Conditions for flow focus. Challenge. Clarity. Now, how do you actually create flow on demand? 3 key conditions must come together. First, focus. Flow requires your full attention. That means removing distractions, silencing your phone, closing the extra tabs, and giving your energy to one task at a time. Multitasking kills flow. Focus fuels it. Second, challenge. The task must stretch you just enough. If it's too easy, your mind wanders and you get bored. If it's too hard, you feel overwhelmed and stuck. The sweet spot is that middle zone, where the challenge pushes you beyond your comfort zone but doesn't push you into panic. Third, clarity. You need to know exactly what success looks like in that moment. Clear goals give your brain direction. Even breaking big goals into smaller milestones creates clarity, and clarity builds confidence. Confidence allows you to stay in flow. Think of it like surfing. If the wave is too small, you can't ride it. If it's too big, it knocks you down. But when the wave is just right, you glide effortlessly. That is the feeling of financial flow. And the better you set up these conditions, the more often you'll ride the waves of wealth creation. Mini practice. Wealth flow moments. When do you lose track of time while creating value? Let's turn this into practice. Take a moment and reflect on your own life. Ask yourself, when have I lost track of time while creating value? Maybe it was while negotiating with passion. Maybe while designing a product. Maybe while mentoring someone and realizing hours had passed. Those moments are your natural flow states. Now, write them down in your journal. Create 2 columns. In the first, list activities where you naturally feel flow. In the second, write how those activities create or contribute to wealth. For example, flow activity, brainstorming new strategies. Wealth impact, creates innovative offers. Flow activity, teaching or mentoring. Wealth impact, builds trust, attracts clients. These flow moments reveal your wealth power zone. The more you design your work, your schedule, and your business around these activities, the more wealth will flow to you. Not from grinding harder, but from aligning with who you are at your best. This is how wealth shifts from struggle into flow.